Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.
Going in depth tonight, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon in Greenville tonight. He was the keynote speaker at the Republican Party's county convention. And hours before he took the stage, protesters were gathering outside the convention center. They say they're concerned by Bannon's calls for President Trump to get a third term in office.
Well, he's calling for civil war, and we are nonviolent, protesting that what's happening in our country, the loss of civil rights. If one person doesn't have due process, then none of us have due process. It's just a matter of when they get to you. So you think you're safe? They came for green card holders who are here legally. They've come for, college students who are here getting their advanced degrees, and we're kicking them all out because they wrote an op-ed. If he doesn't like your opinion, this is where they start. They come for the journalists, they come for those educated, they want to control the universities. The First Amendment is free speech. It's only free speech when Trump wants it, and Steve Bannon.
Now, the 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution limits the number of times a person can be elected president to 2. So we asked Bannon, what is his strategy to get President Trump a third term in office, and is he calling for a civil war?
Nothing could be farther from the truth. And by the way, I think it's great that the protesters are out there. It's their First Amendment. Bill Maher, I don't know if you saw on HBO, so he handed me a copy of the Constitution. And I said, Bill, right now the president's being sued, I think, in 150 different cases about his rights as the President of the United States in the office of the presidency on the Constitution, about his example as chief executive officer. Can he cut the budget? Can he stop certain programs? Can he fire people? As commander-in-chief, the huge, Supreme Court and people talking about, can he send terrorists back out of the country to prison in Central America? And then as chief magistrate and chief law enforcement officer, can he actually go over to the Justice Department and actually be what the Constitution says, which is a chief law enforcement officer? All of those are contested every day in federal court.
Now, in a follow-up with Bannon, we asked about 4 to 5 strategies that he says that he has in mind when it comes to the Constitution. And we asked him if he's been in contact with President Trump about his desire to have him elected to a third term.
We're working independently, no contact with the president on this whatsoever, but I think that closer to the 2026 midterm, we'll lay out our plans. But people should understand, we're going to come up with a plan that we're going to execute on, and President Trump is going to be the president in 2029.
Now, also speaking at tonight's event was State Treasurer Curtis Loftus and Congresswoman Nancy Mace. You can hear more from them online at our website, foxcarolina.com.